Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Yes, it's the Skeptic Zone podcast, episode number 892 for the 9th of November, 2025. Richard Saunders coming to you from recently it's been a very muggy and very hot Sydney, Australia. And also on the way this week, we have Kate Thomas with Woo Watch. A bit of a different Woo Watch this week. This takes the form of an interview that Maynard did with Kate just the other night here at Sydney Skeptics in the pub. And what a successful night that was. Many people turned up to see Kate give her talk about woo. And thank you to those people who came along for the very first time because you follow Kate on Instagram or TikTok. Great to see you there. Hope to see you there next month. We're going to be having a special live podcast of the Skeptic Zone and the Why Smart Women podcast. So if you're in Sydney next month on the first Thursday, come to the Occidental Hotel at 6 o'clock and join in the fun. Anyway, yes, we kick off today's episode with Woo Watch with Maynard and Kate Thomas. Following that, it's a look at kinesiology and applied kinesiology. What's the difference? Is there a difference? Oh, yes, there is. One is science and one is woo. Which is which? Find out coming up later on in the show. Then we have the Australian Skeptics Newsletter read by Adrienne Hill and written once more by our relatively news editor, Dee. Hello, Dee. I know you listen to the show. And then we have the Loons from Canada. A bit of a follow-up from last week. This time they're going to be reporting on a very successful Skepticamp held in Edmonton, Canada. Then to round off the show, it's back to the archives, the International Newspaper Archives, to find out more about skeptics in New Zealand. Well, that's enough for me at the moment. A very short introduction because it's a very long show. The show actually goes a little bit over time. Oh well, these things happen. Anyway, it's time for me to run downstairs and have a cool glass of ginger beer. While I do that, I hope you enjoy the Skeptic Zone. Wacky woo that's worth watching. It's Woo Watch with Kate Thomas.
Well, people are rushing and hushing here at the Occidental, which whenever I say to a taxi driver, they go, "Where's that?" And I just say Kent Street, which it's not in Kent Street. It's actually in some other street, but I get that wrong all the time. But it's great to finally meet a fellow reporter to the Skeptic Zone. Kate, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, Maynard. How are you?
I'm just fine. Now, you're here tonight to talk about all sorts of woo.
I am going to talk about all sorts of woo. We're going to have a woo wellness love story.
Isn't wellness a great word? Because it's a bit like motherhood. You can't say, I don't want any wellness.
Oh, no, everybody wants wellness. Who wouldn't want wellness?
Why don't they just call it health or something?
Because we've had health and now we've evolved to wellness.
Who wants health when you can have wellness?
Well, I mean, I think health is very pedestrian. And we've had health for many, many, many years. And the next evolution of health is wellness.
Now, what's the most, I'm asking people here, what's the most alternative woo that you find the most egregious, which I'm sure you learned at pharmacy school, the word egregious. What is the one you find the most annoying and egregious? There's a lot to choose from.
There's a lot to choose from, and I'm also trying to choose something that I'm not going to mention in my talk tonight. I think it would have to be stem cells. Because stem cells, I feel, are getting a very bad rap in the wellness world. Stem cells are actual things.
They're the new interferon.
That's
interferon
right.
Used to be stem cells.
So,
Whatever happened to Interferon, although it's a great band, Get Out of London by Interferon, check it out, great song. Anyway.
I just think that in actual medicine, the stem cells are an actual thing and they've been completely hijacked by wellness, and apparently you can get You can get stem cells now by, sorry Maynard, I know you've just had your dinner, drinking your own menstrual blood is a great way, apparently, of getting stem cells.
Eating placenta, would that have it in it too?
Oh, surely. And I feel sorry for the stem cells.
Right. Okay. And what do they claim it does if you do that? So if you do that, it'll fix automatically whatever you have wrong with it. You don't have to program it or filter it in any way.
Yeah. Well, I think the idea is that it's a pluripotent cell, and of course, that actually is what it is in your body. If you eat it, it doesn't work like that. And if you use it in skincare, it doesn't work like that. So I think that there's no possible way of actually increasing your stem cell count by doing these things.
And where did you get your degree in pharmacy?
Sydney University with my good friends here.
Oh.
Well, not with them, because I'm 1,000 years older than they are.
In fact, they're your lecturers that are here.
They're actually my lecturer, that's right. And they had the stem cells, which is why they're actually 80. But because of their stem cell therapy, they look like they're 20.
Wow. And how many years is that? 3, 4?
The degree?
Yeah.
How long's the degree, girls? 4 years now, and a year of...
Hang on, you did the degree. You're asking them.
Oh, because when I did the degree, it was 3 years and
if there was a lazy $50 under the door, 6 months cut off.
It was still 3 years and a year of registration, whereas these poor girls have to do 4 years and a year of registration. So it's basically a 5-year degree.
And so you don't actually own your own pharmacy, do you?
I do not. No, I spent the first 25 years of my pharmacy life in hospital.
Oh.
As in hospital pharmacy.
Oh, you had me worried there for a minute.
Sorry, your little face. No, hospital pharmacy.
And so that means you have to work in other people's pharmacies, and they would have lots of alternative things occasionally on the shelf. How do you deal with that as a professional? Ear candles.
Interestingly, I think it is a very difficult marriage of these two worlds, which is behind the dispensary evidence, trials, human studies, like a lot of really, really good evidence, TGA listing, a lot of safety, a lot of data. And then in front of the dispensary, it is a business.
Is that what they call sundries, the things that they've got in the front of the chemist shop that are fun for people to buy?
We call them, well, I don't know what the young kids are calling them these days, but I would call them
crazy kids from the pharmacy degree.
Those crazy kids. I would be calling them over-the-counter or supplementary or complementary is probably the correct term for them, complementary medicines. And I believe these girls do a whole topic on it in university, but certainly when I did pharmacy, there was none of that. How do I marry those two worlds, Maynard? That's really challenging for me because as you said, it's not my shop. So I am not worried about the viability of the business. So when somebody comes in and asks for lysine for their cold sores, it's easy for me to say, look, there's not a huge amount of evidence for that, and really probably just, put some sun cream on and have an acyclovir tablet when you feel it tingling. That's super easy for me to say because I'm not trying to keep the doors open, and all the other services that a pharmacy is now expected to offer, like vaccines or consults on various different things, which are all for free. So pharmacists are, in fact, the only health professional that you can access anytime without an appointment and for free. It's sounding like a little pharmacist.
No, I have spoken to some pharmacists who got their degree in the 60s, way back, and they said, well, there was only like 4 drugs. There was like 2 antibiotics, there was amphetamines, and what are those ones that you aren't allowed to take anymore that killed everybody in the movie Valley of the Dolls?
Oh, not thalidomide. No.
No. Oh, it's a class of drugs you don't have, and it's it makes you sleep, and of course, occasionally you take too much, you don't wake up.
Oh, barbiturates.
Yeah, barbiturates.
Oh.
I don't think there's any barbiturates anymore, are there?
Well, no, there's phenobarbital, which is used in palliative care sometimes.
Right.
But no.
Right, yes.
Not like high rotation.
Yes, so you said they had classes of those ones, a couple of antibiotics and some creams. That was it. Much simpler times.
Yes, much simpler times. We were just discussing with these lovely girls how medicine is just evolving in terms of, especially in cancer therapy, in terms of targeted therapies and all of that kind of thing. So actually medicine is super exciting.
Yeah, it doesn't happen so much in holistic therapy, does it?
Well, Maynard, that's because it's evolved. Like it's nature has grown it like that. There's no need for enhancements.
Because I wouldn't have thought, because there's not a lot of great new naturopathic cures coming forward.
Well, I think actually it's almost the opposite, isn't it?
Oh.
Don't they look further backwards? Isn't it more like what was happening in the Dark Ages?
The Romans took a lot of lead, so let's have some lead.
Well, and the Romans also had snails on their faces for skincare. So look.
Wow.
Why not?
Wow. So it is good that you have to balance that. What's the biggest stand-up argument you've had in a pharmacy with someone who's come in for something and you've maybe suggested that they're completely wrong and should get under the house and an argument ensued? Ding, ding, what happened? Ding, ding.
So two things, and I know this is not the answer. This is actually not the answer you want, but I am going to tell this story because it really irritated me. But a guy did come in and say to me, "Did you intend to cut your hair like that?"
Oh, right. And assuming that you actually did it yourself as well.
And I went, "Yes." And he said, "You remind me of an ex-girlfriend." And I went, "Well, she sounds hot."
Yes, that's the right response.
And he said, "Well, she's my ex-girlfriend now." And I went, "It's almost impossible to understand why." And I know that wasn't the answer to your question. So the actual argument I had was about statins. Statins cause dementia. They don't.
Hang on. Let me guess. The mechanism is because they remove plaques, they send it into your brain. Is that how it works?
You're thinking too hard. No, it's because statins lower cholesterol. Your brain has cholesterol. Therefore, statins cause dementia. You see the logic?
Right. So it's affecting the blood-brain barrier.
I don't even think it's that thoughtful. I think they literally think statins are going around sponging cholesterol out of your brain.
Right. Okay.
So did have an argument with a guy at the till. Ended up me saying, "I tell you what, I'm here next week. You go away and come back with your evidence. I'll come back with my evidence. We'll continue this conversation." He did not come back.
Yeah. And how do you find evidence for something that's non-existent anyway?
Well, yes, that is a good question. I'm very lucky because I have access to the Clinical Information Access Portal. So I actually have access to a whole lot of documentation, which I think, like, some of it's available to the public online, but some of it's not. But also, in his defence, and I don't like to come to his defence, but in his defence, I guess if you Google search, "do statins cause dementia," and something comes up and it looks like it's a study, then I guess you could be forgiven for thinking that you'd done your own research.
So how do you go when you're on, you're on TikTok, but on Facebook you see a meme and it's like, you can reset your immune system by fasting for 3 days because someone won the Nobel Prize for it. Then when you look into it, it was about it was like a part of the immune system. It wasn't resetting it. And the study was 500 people that had cancer. So there was a lot of other things going on in their system, and I don't think it reset their immune system anyway. How do you get across to the fact that someone who sticks up a meme like that they're completely wrong?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Impossible.
Oh.
I mean, it's impossible because I guess there are some people out there who want to learn and who truly are wanting to make good decisions, and then there are other people who it's not logical. So you cannot have a logical conversation because their thinking is not logical. And I guess you just have to understand that you've got limits. Yeah.
Look, you've got a lot to talk about here, but that's just cupping. What do you think of cupping? That is the one. Look, if you want to do a B&D thing, that's fine. But, don't call it alternative medicine and get bruises that way.
I can't fathom how anybody would think that causing surface bruising is it increasing circulation? Is that what they think? Does anyone know? Is it to do with increasing blood flow?
I think it brings the toxins to the surface. I think that's the idea. But then again, where do they go out of the skin because bruising fixes itself up?
I don't have words.
It's only one step away from bloodletting.
Well, at least bloodletting sort of makes a little bit of sense. You've got a body full of
Improving blood circulation, it says.
Yeah, I thought it was something stupid to do with
You might as
that.
well go for a run then.
Yeah, or just have a good night's sleep, or, I mean, who knows?
Look, and you also have a problem with supplements, but I think supplements are great. I think dexamphetamine a great thing to have, MDA is a great thing to have, and they should be over-the-counter available. So why aren't they? What's wrong with those supplements?
I think dexamphetamine should definitely be over the counter, especially for perimenopausal women.
Oh, so they can yell louder and talk faster.
Maynard, come here while I smite you about the head with heavy blows. I think that... Why are they not available? Because anything with a therapeutic effect has a side effect. And if it isn't having a side effect, so all of these things that say, I take, I don't know, whatever, and it's a natural remedy and it has no side effects. If it has no side effects, it's having no effect. Now...
So it's ineffective but safe.
It's ineffective but safe, which is and that's fine if that's your thing, but don't be swapping out your actual prescription medications which have effects and therefore side effects for something with no effect. And the therapeutic window, so the narrow window where things work or outside of which there are side effects, I guess are different for each medication. And something like dexamphetamine, which is a stimulant, has a narrow therapeutic window. So it's just got to be tightly controlled.
Right. Now, one thing I have to ask too, you have to show your licence when you get pseudoephedrine.
Yes.
Were people really going around and buying a whole stack of pseudoephedrine and then making drugs from it? Because those tablets aren't cheap. I don't know how it's economically viable to do that. That's why I'm suspicious that anyone was bothering to do it in the first place.
I think you'll find that the cost of a pseudoephedrine tablet, even though it's expensive, is not as much as what you can sell your speed for.
Right, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I think I need to talk to an economist then.
That's right. Or a pharmacist.
Well, I hope it goes well. I hope you get some really interesting questions.
Thanks.
And how do you go when someone says, any questions, and someone makes a statement of what they think in a very long sentence that doesn't have a question mark at the end?
I have...
Because you've got that happen to you.
I feel like in this room it's going to be safe. I feel like here I may be preaching to the choir. It is, I guess, always my intention not to sound too preachy, too lecturery, too polar opposite to somebody I'm speaking to, because I think possibly that's how we've also come to where we are, which is that wellness is down one end of the room and Western or traditional or whatever we want to call it medicine.
Allopathy.
Yeah, and never the twain shall meet. And perhaps if there was a little bit more meeting in the middle, these people would find a little bit more what they needed in a traditional setting.
And where can people find you online on all the different platforms you're at? What's the easiest way to find you?
Thank you. I am on TikTok and Instagram at Prescribe or Pass. And I'm on the Skeptic Zone every 2 weeks.
Yeah, and shut up about the haircut, people, particularly if you're coming into a pharmacy like that. How rude is that?
Fans. Anyway,
It's rude.
It is rude. He wasn't exactly Adonis either, but never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay, have fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, you might remember about a month ago on the Skeptic Zone podcast, there was a report with Kate Thomas, Andy McCubbin and myself discussing our visit to the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival. And this was a live report done in a coffee shop. And that report not only appeared on the Skeptic Zone, but also on the Why Smart Women podcast. And towards the end, there seemed to be a question, I remember, about kinesiology and applied kinesiology. And is there a difference? There is a difference, and I thought I would explain briefly the difference between kinesiology and applied kinesiology. Kinesiology is a scientific study of human movement. It's used in such things as orthopedics or sports psychology, motor control. It is put to great use when there is rehabilitation involved after maybe injury or disease. It's certainly used in sport. It really is about the way the body moves. If we glance over at Wikipedia, kinesiology studies the science of human movement, performance and function by applying the fundamental sciences of cell biology, molecular biology, chemistry, biochemistry, biophysics, biomechanics, biomathematics, biostatistics, anatomy, physiology, exercise physiology, pathophysiology, neuroscience, and nutritional science. A bachelor's degree in kinesiology can provide strong preparation for graduate study in medical school, biomedical research, as well as professional programs. The term kinesiologist is not a licensed nor professional designation in many countries, with the notable exception of Canada. Individuals with training in this area can teach physical education, work as personal trainers and sports coaches, provide consulting services, conduct research and develop policies related to rehabilitation, human motor performance, ergonomics, and occupational health and safety. In North America, kinesiologists may study to earn a Bachelor of Science, Master of Science, Doctorate of Philosophy degree in kinesiology or a Bachelor of Kinesiology degree, while in Australia and New Zealand they are often conferred an Applied Science, Human Movement degree or higher. Many doctoral-level faculties in North America kinesiology programs received their doctoral training in related disciplines, such as neuroscience, mechanical engineering, psychology or physiology. And the article goes on and it discusses how it's used in things like fitness in athletes, strength training. It can help to lessen falls, for example, improve balance. It can come into play when looking at ergonomics, designing furniture. So we could summarize it as saying that it's a worthwhile endeavor, a worthwhile study of human motion, the muscular system, and so on. However, the study kinesiology, the word kinesiology specifically, has been hijacked by quackery, which is applied kinesiology. Again, according to Wikipedia, applied kinesiology, AK, also known as muscle testing, is a pseudoscience-based technique in alternative medicine claimed to be able to diagnose illness or choose treatment by testing muscles for strength and weakness. And where I see this most in use is at Mind, Body, Spirit festivals, where you'll be walking along one of the aisles and there'll be a kinesiologist at work. The wiki page goes on to say, according to their guidelines on allergy diagnostic testing, the American College of Allergy, Asthma and Immunology states there is, quote, no evidence of diagnostic validity, end quote, of applied kinesiology. Another study indicated that the use of applied kinesiology to evaluate nutrient status is, quote, no more useful than random guessing, end quote. The American Cancer Society said that, quote, scientific evidence does not support the claim that applied kinesiology can diagnose or treat cancer or other illnesses, end quote. Now, before I go any further, I'll try to explain it if you haven't seen it or if you're unsure what I'm talking about. I mean, it's easy enough to look up on YouTube if you type in applied kinesiology testing or something like that. Basically, the practitioner will apply force to the arm, for example, and at the same time will get the patient, for lack of a better word, to hold a vial of whatever, could be homeopathic, and then they will see what resistance the arm or other muscle gives, or they will wave their other hand over a part of the body and then apply pressure to the arm to see how much strength is in the muscle. This was the basis of the testing of power balance, the power balance wristbands in their ilk over a decade ago. And I was able to very easily debunk this sort of testing on national TV by putting the representative of power balance wristbands to a double-blind test. We had 6 people, and he didn't know which of the 6 had the device about their person. He did these muscle testing and got it wrong every time he tried it. I think there were 4 or 5 or 6 tests in total. George J. Goodhart, a chiropractor, and I think he is the one of the founders of chiropractic, originated applied kinesiology in 1964 and began teaching it to other chiropractors. And indeed today there are many chiropractors who use this form of so-called testing. And just remembering back to those television tests I did all those years ago, also on the report, and I'll link to this in the show notes, they interviewed a chiropractor who said he'd put his reputation on the power balance, presumably because of his applied kinesiology tests.
Melbourne chiropractor Dr. Matt Bateman has tried it on hundreds of his patients, even staking his reputation on it.
Hold. Now, do you feel stronger? Okay, I'm putting a lot more pressure in there. There's only so much you can fake. I'm not faking 500% increased strength and stability, which is what I felt when I first did the test. I can't fake that.
Dr. Bateman then demonstrated it on one of our sceptical reporters, Jonathan Creek.
Any more? Can you sneak any more out of that? About there? I'm just going to bring it now. I'll put it on your forehead just for something different. Can you go any further? Whoa. I'd say again, another 2 or 3 inches. We take that away again, it'll be harder for you to hold and sustain. That's a freak.
So much for his reputation. In 2015, the Australian Government's Department of Health published the results of a review of alternative therapies that sought to determine if any were suitable for being covered by health insurance. Applied kinesiology was one of 17 therapies evaluated for which no clear evidence of effectiveness was found. So the point is, and it's made here on the wiki page too, is nearly all applied kinesiology tests are subjective, relying solely on practitioner assessment of muscle response. When you see it in action, you can see how easily the practitioner can simply fool themselves. It's akin to the idiomotor action when it comes to things like water divining and dowsing using dowsing rods. Now, when it comes to selling those power bands, I'm of the opinion that the man I tested all those years ago really did think that those tests were legitimate because he was taught how to do those tests. And of course, every time he did those tests, he knew who had the band about their person. And probably subconsciously, he reacted or used pressure in a different way. As soon as that is eliminated, as soon as the practitioner does not know, then it reverts back to random, no better than random guessing. It's not just the arm that is used, of course. The legs can be used too, and the hand. And indeed, there is a particularly bizarre form of applied kinesiology where the practitioner will link their thumb and first fingers of both hands together to form an interlocking link. They will ask the universe a question or think of something or be near a bad product like a cell phone or whatever, and they will try to pull their fingers apart through each other. If they're stuck and they can't do it, well, that's good. And if their fingers, trying to do it in front of the microphone, come apart, then they say, well, there you are. That proves that this substance is bad or my thought is bad or whatever the case may be. My first memory of this sort of thing actually dates back to the 1970s, where there was some television program, I wish I had a copy of it, which discussed colour therapy. And so they would go to a prison. If we have the inmates look at this blue card, or we put blue in front of them, they're more agitated, they're stronger. And if we swap that out for a pink card or environment, then look, the muscles are weaker. Another classic time that I've noticed this technique being used, especially with the arm or putting people off balance, is insoles. At a mind-body wallet festival, maybe the best part of 10 years ago, there was a stall selling insoles that had the property of increasing your strength and so on. And we observed them using the classic applied kinesiology tests. The bottom line here is kinesiology is a science, it's a study, it's practical, it has good results, it's very interesting. Applied kinesiology is something invented by a chiropractor. It does not work. It's based on self-deception and falls apart when put to a double-blind test. It's used by people probably with every good intention, but it's also used by scoundrels and villains who sometimes you can see them in shopping malls as selling various pendants or wristbands claim to improve your balance and strength and so on. Kinesiology and applied kinesiology. One is science, the other pseudoscience and quackery.
Hello everyone, this is Adrienne Hill, coming to you from a snowy Calgary in Canada. And I'm going to read the highlights from the Australian Skeptics Newsletter. This is newsletter number 234. Now don't forget, you can sign up to this newsletter at skeptics.com.au and get the full report, complete with all the links every other week, right into your inbox. But now, let's see what our news editor, Dee, has for us this time. Hi all, says Dee. Vaccines and environmental policy have dominated the news this fortnight. Studies on vaccine efficacy and the diseases they prevent continue to uncover more reasons why vaccine uptake is an important practice that we should be maximizing. Australian political parties are all talking about their promises for and departures from future endeavors about climate change and our biosphere. And misinformation circulates, as always. However, it is becoming increasingly apparent that more people care about not ingesting misinformation, and publications try as they might to quell the tide. In the meantime, read on, Dee. Okay, Dee. I'll do just that. Getting the COVID infection while pregnant is linked to a rise in the risk of developmental disorders in children. A paper published from Massachusetts Dr. Lydia Shook indicates that a COVID infection in pregnant women was associated with an increased risk of neurodevelopmental diagnoses among children by age 3 years. Further emphasizing the need for vaccine uptake in those most vulnerable. It would appear vaccines are related to autism. They prevent it. I love it. Oh, that's good. Seventh-day Adventists appeal for Barbara O'Neill. A North Carolina Adventist congregation sponsors Barbara O'Neill, the 2025 Bent Spoon winner. And this is not the only Christian congregation to do so, as she appeals to the natural wellness practices of the faith. The church publication Adventist Today is not impressed. Reform wins the UK Skeptics Rusty Razor Award. Reform UK, a conservative populist political party in the UK, has just won the Rusty Razor, the UK Skeptics Award for the most prolific promotion of pseudoscience. The winner was cited for their continual denial of climate changes and anti-vaccine misinformation. A survey indicates North Americans are more prone to paranormal beliefs. Recent surveys in Canada and the US reveal that nearly half of all those who participated in the study hold paranormal beliefs, which may be a result of response bias. Many of the individuals touted the fact they are special or have a unique gift, perhaps playing into the culture of self-exceptionalism or assumed individuality. Preventing autism. Oh God, really? Really? Oh dear. Okay. Preventing autism. Denying immunization for your pets. Oh dear. Vaccines for pets have never been a contentious issue until now. Alongside growing hesitancy to vaccinate children and adults over the past few years, there has been an alarming increase in humans denying vaccines for their pets. Ironically, this is an example of animal cruelty from those who claim to care most. I certainly have Jewel fully vaccinated. I would not want her to get rabies or kennel cough. Our final quarterly issue of The Skeptic has been distributed. So sad. The issue features a look back at the history of the magazine and other historical events, including a rather special gatefold cover. You can read our featured article called Times Change, written by our former editor Tim Mendham, in the preview of the June-July issue available on our website, www.skeptics.com.au. Skeptics in Action. If you have any ideas for stories or want to contribute to Skeptics communications, such as our Facebook page or other social media, or just have something you want to get off your chest, then you're welcome to get in touch. News leads should be sent to newstips@skeptics.com.au. Comments and suggestions should go to editor@skeptics.com.au. Items of interest. Travel tips. Another Michigan psych ward becomes a haunted attraction. Ooh. A psychiatric and tuberculosis ward in Allegan, Michigan opens its doors to amateur ghost hunters and spiritual skeptics. This feels somewhat cruel to subject former inpatients and the infirm to being gawked at by the general public. Zodiac signs are to blame for social mishaps. The publication Vice, in their infinite wisdom, decided to promote horoscopes for birth signs to avoid, lest they ghost you this Halloween. Wouldn't that be advocating for you to ghost them first? Oh dear. Silly story of the week. Haunted house bargains. These are properties that are claimed to be haunted, and they often have a lower asking price. So if you're looking for a good deal on your next summer home, buying a house on top of a sanitarium or a cemetery might be a savvy investment. However, you might need an exorcist when you're looking to sell. Nope. Story of the week. Ghost hunters, marital problems. Oh dear. Aaron Goodwin of Ghost Adventures is ambivalent at the latest episode of his show, as it depicts the moments his wife's plot to murder him is revealed. Quote, "I won't be watching," end quote. What could have possessed her to act this way? Well, that's all for this week. What a crazy week it has been for me and Jewel. Spirit dog Jewel has been having a rough time with 5 consecutive bladder infections, the infection returning within days of stopping the antibiotics. Now, Psychic Penny has been beside herself with worry, but being away presently visiting the Galactic Federation, it has been up to me to drive Jewel, because I know she is not really a spirit, to many vet appointments. And with each intake, I get asked a battery of questions, including, is she vaccinated? Yes, as I said before. And do you feed Jewel a raw diet? Regarding the diet, each time I answer no. Then they sigh with relief and say, good. One particular person expanded on the sigh and expressed her frustration with people who believe what they see and read in social media, and then harm their dogs and sometimes themselves with this misinformation. based on reading an article by veterinarian Brennan McKenzie, also known as SkepVet, called Debating Raw Diets in Veterinary Practice News. Raw diets have no proven benefits, but many documented risks, including being nutritionally incomplete and containing pathogens that can not only be harmful to the pet, but also to their humans. According to a study conducted at the University of Bristol in 2023, looking for antibiotic resistance to E. coli in 600 healthy dogs, the researchers found that the only significant risk factor associated with feces that contained resistant bacteria was feeding uncooked meat to dogs. There is also a risk of these resistant bacteria being passed on to the pet parents and their children. Now, I had a wonderful chat with the lovely lady at the vet, exploring many health myths regarding our pets. And I decided to hand her my Skeptic Zone card. And if you're listening, welcome. And if any new listeners are confused by my reference to Psychic Penny, check out the AI written fun we had with the Adventures of Psychic Penny and the Galactic Federation on YouTube. Until next time, this is Adrienne Hill from Calgary, Canada.
There are many psychics and channelers who claim they are in contact with the Galactic Federation, but we have uncovered the truth. The Adventures of Psychic Penny and the Galactic Federation, Series 1, a daring cosmic space adventure starring Richard Saunders, Kat McLeod, Lara Benham, Maynard, Kathy Reitmeyer, and Adrienne Hill as Psychic Penny. Search for The Adventures of Psychic Penny.
It's the Loons from Canada. Here's Kate and Ali.
This is Kate and Ali. Hi, Kate. Hi, Ali. We are about to embark on our second Skepticamp of the year, and this one's Halloween themed. I'm so excited, and I get to talk about one of my favorite topics, the Winchester Mystery House. I love your talk on that. And we're going to hear 10 presentations from students in the afternoon. And then in the evening, it's going to be yourself, Kenny Biddle, me, and Dr. Rod. Yeah, and I understand Dr. Rod is going to do some kind of quick change thing. Not sure what it is yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I am too. I'm a little anxious, though, since I'm the speaker right before him. Well, my biggest anxiety is we really don't have any idea how many people are going to come to this. This is the first time we've done it on a Monday, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get some good attendance in the afternoon one with the students, but then we have an hour break, and we're coming back at 6 o'clock, and that's the It might just be us. Yeah, it might just be us. We were talking with Rod, like, 5 people in addition to the speakers would be a success. Yeah, and if nobody shows up, we'll just go for drinks. I think that sounds like a wonderful plan. So it's a win-win no matter what. So let's hope that we have good attendance. We have, I think, a great lineup. And I hope we get to do it again. But if it doesn't go well, we will figure out what We've learned from it. Exactly. So it's a win-win either way. Yeah. Let's get going. I'm so excited. Let's go. This is Kat McLeod, and we are just wrapping up our Skepticamp, which went exceptionally well. We had anywhere from 25 to 56 people throughout the day, which was wonderful. I'm here with Dr. Rod Schmaltz, one of the co-presenters with me. How do you feel today went?
I thought today went great. This was the first time I've had my class present at a Skepticamp, and there was a bunch of brilliant presentations in the afternoon, and then a fun evening session with presentations by the great Adrienne Hill and Kat McLeod. And I believe we had Kenny Biddle in there somewhere as well.
And
yes.
yourself.
And myself, yes.
And we had 10 presentations this afternoon, but the time just flew by. They were really well done.
Yes, they were excellent. So it was a long day. It started at 2, we finished about 8:30, but the day flew by, so it was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having us and hosting us. Adrienne, how do you feel today went?
Way better than we ever anticipated. We were even thinking that tonight, because it's a Monday night, and this is the first time we're doing it, not on a weekend like we did last time, that maybe we would just have the speakers here. And I was shocked when people started coming in at 6 o'clock. And there were some of your students from last semester and just people I don't know, and students from your class as well. It was wonderful, as well as your younger brother, Rod.
Yes, of course.
Yes, your younger brother made it.
Yes, yes. That would actually be my dad claiming to be my younger brother, but he was indeed here.
Which was lovely. He seemed to really enjoy it.
I think so. And one other thing, too, is that it is Game 3 of the World Series tonight.
I know.
We still have
We're missing
a lot of people here tonight. So people chose to come here instead of the World Series, which is amazing.
And I meant to thank them for coming to that, and yeah, brain fart, totally missed it.
Well, I mean, and I think a real highlight for everybody was you coming in dressed as, what was that?
The Grim Reaper, was it not?
It's just a monster. I don't know exactly what it is, but...
Me in the morning, then.
Exactly, that's right.
Only stretched up really tall.
Well, I do a Halloween talk every year for the Student Psychology Network, and I always get dressed up as something. So this was just a monster-type person.
Loved it. It worked really, really well.
Yeah, it was also very dramatic. We had spooky music and a spooky film, but then the countdown started before you came in, and instead of doot doot doot, like happy
and
music.
That's when I should have done your intro, because I blew my voice out trying to introduce you over the spooky music.
That's all right. We had to have the spooky music very loud so I'd know when to come in. So it was not easy to speak over, to be sure.
It was a wonderful, wonderful event, and I think we're looking at doing it again next semester, correct?
Yeah, we'll do it again in the winter term, so February, March, somewhere in there.
And because we're holding it at the university, as well as your students being involved, we had a lot of young people, a lot of women, a lot of people of color. We had a really good mix, which is what our goal is, right? Just to get more people involved instead of old people like me.
Shall we end on that note?
I think that sounds good. Well, until next time, this is Kat McLeod, actually.
And Adrienne Hill from MacEwan Studios. Actually, a classroom in MacEwan. It's not a studio at all.
It was a great studio today, and it held 60 people, and I think, we basically filled it up today. Yep, that was great.
Good job, guys. Another successful Skepticamp.
Now it's time once again to go back to those archives from around the world, put together by wonderful people who digitize and archive newspapers and magazines and so on, dating back many decades, in fact centuries. We call this segment the TROVE segment after the TROVE archive here in Australia at trove.nla.gov.au. But last week we were dipping our toes into the wonderful resource from New Zealand, across the ditch, just near Australia. What is it? Hit Australia and turn left? Something like that. And you hit New Zealand, our cousins across the ocean. And what a wealth of information I'm finding at paperspast.natlib.gov.t.nz. The New Zealand equivalent to TROVE, so I thought we would look again at some interesting items relating to skeptical matters from papers in New Zealand. So let's go back to the year 1981 on the 5th of November from a newspaper called The Press. And the story is Sydney's one-stop fortune-telling shop. So it was by their Australian correspondent. And this is by Rosaline McCarroll. The Crystal Ball is Sydney's one-stop fortune-telling shop. In an upstairs salon which offers the same privacy and discretion as an old-fashioned beauty parlour, you may have your fortune read by a variety of psychic experts who use various means of fortune-telling the future. It is owned and run by a very businesslike lady, Sally Gill. She looks an immaculately groomed mainstream person, so it is therefore surprising to learn that she is a psychic, and keen to dispel the notion that all psychics, read fortune tellers, clairvoyants, are nuts. Now, listeners of Michelle Bickersmar's wonderful series of logical fallacies on YouTube, as heard originally on the Skeptic Zone, and of course there's a link to that on the homepage at the Skeptic Zone, may remember the logical fallacy of the false dilemma. In fact, that is logical fallacy number 11 in the long list of logical fallacies Michelle covered. So in this case, it's saying that fortune tellers are either real or they're nuts. And this comes up particularly when we speak to the media. They often just want to know, is this psychic real or are they a scamming con artist? Another false dilemma or false dichotomy. Whereas we've learned over many years that many people who claim to have psychic powers, read tarot cards and so on, are usually simply self-deceived. They're not real, obviously enough, and they're not scamming. They're not set out to be scamming people. They honestly think they're doing something. So an interesting look at that. Anyway, we read on. Psychics do not look weird, she said defensively, indicating her stable of fortune-tellers smiling down from a host of colour photographs. That is the whole aim of the operation, she explained, to bring the occult, read fortune-tellers, clairvoyants and psychics, out of the realm of witchcraft into our everyday lives. She refers to her clairvoyants as her readers, and on the day I visited, the readers and their services were listed on a blackboard just like the blackboard specials in a restaurant. It reminds me of the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival. When you go there, there's a room of psychics, and outside the room there's a big board with the photograph of the various psychics and what their particular skill is, normally tarot. We read on. She relates psychic ability to a gift, akin to music. Everybody has it, although few have the great talent for it, and fewer still develop it. She keeps a court of 17 fortune tellers and rosters them so that there are 4 different readers each day divining your future from a variety of astrological disciplines. There are 4 male readers in the fraternity, M-A-L-E, male. Readers in the fraternity, said Ms. Gill. New clairvoyants who want to read at the centre are meticulously screened. They must have been reading for at least 10 years. They are also asked to read about 4 of the psychics at the centre to see if they are on the ball. If they pass this test, they are then given a reading by about 4 of the resident readers to see if they will fit into the community. Where everyone is psychic, the atmosphere can be, well, fraught, remarks Ms. Gill. Readings cost $14 for 20 minutes, $18 for 30 minutes, and $22 for a maximum reading. The centre is open from 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, and also open on Saturday mornings. The Crystal Ball does not accept responsibility for any reading given, but is prepared to refund payments if the visitor does not enjoy his/her visit. Ms. Gill sees the centre as a service to the public, servicing all comers without fear or favour. We service a cross-section from businessmen consulting the stock market through to young girls wondering if they should break up with their boyfriends. Lots are just curious, she said. The Crystal Ball already advertises in the legitimate, Although not exactly mainstream press. But word of mouth is by far the best way, Ms. Gill has found. On a good day, the shop has 60 to 70 people through the booths, and generally business is pleasant. Plans for the future include tarot card reading over the telephone for people who want to ask a single question. Quote, "Should I up stakes and go to New Zealand?" End quote. As to the ultimate future of the crystal ball, Ms. Gill is guardedly optimistic. The fact that it has already celebrated its first birthday is modest proof of its credibility. I could have chosen a palmist, a graphologist, specialist in handwriting, a crystal ball, yes, they really have a crystal ball, or a tarot card reading. Ms. Gill suggested the multi-talented Helena give me a reading. In spite of her earlier reassurances, Helena did not look suburban in spite of being a Kiwi. She looked like an orange-haired punk rocker who had just had an electric shock. Suffice it to say, if Helena is on the ball, my future is a good deal more exciting than my past. But, of course, I believed her. Would a girl from Lower Hutt put me wrong? But overall, the Crystal Ball is a sincere, good-humoured and well-meaning organisation. You could get worse insights from high-powered experts and pay a lot more for it, and none of them would offer you your money back. And a quick look through the archives, just general searching, I can't see a reference to Sally Gill or the Crystal Ball. So maybe it was not around for so long. And the item has a couple of cartoons. One is a shop front with a window and a door. Madam Vision, fortune teller, appointments anticipated. Phone 1234. And there's a door next to the window, and on the door is sticky-taped the notice, closed today due to unforeseen circumstances. Now here's a story again from the press, dated the 3rd of March 1984. And this is a report from NZPA Reuter from Edinburgh. Chair of Paranormal set up. Edinburgh University announced it would set up Britain's first professorship to study paranormal phenomena, ranging from poltergeists to levitation to telepathy and clairvoyance. More than £500,000 for the chair of parapsychology, the study of powers beyond normal mental abilities, were left in the will of the writer Arthur Koestler, who committed suicide with his wife Cynthia in March 1983. The Hungarian-born author developed a strong interest in psychic phenomena before he died, and his bequest was seen as an attempt to win greater acceptance for the study of the paranormal. University dons in some of Britain's most distinguished seats of learning spent the last year debating whether parapsychology was a proper subject for academic scrutiny. Edinburgh won the battle to establish the chair after Oxford and Cambridge turned down the idea because they feared it would damage their reputations, university sources said. And here's one again from 1984 on the 7th of August. And again in the press. And this one comes to us from Reuter again, NZPA from the Philippines. Psychic healers get increasing respect. The Reverend Jose Segundo told his patient to lie down. After making an incision with his bare fingers, he pulled out clotted blood and tissue from the man's leg. Before we go on any further, of course I don't need to say it, but I will anyway, this is a story about the scam, the con, the scandalous, the infamous, the notorious, the evil practice of psychic surgery, performed mostly in the Philippines and Brazil, but around the world, and it has been known to happen here in Australia. It's one of the modalities in the skeptical sphere we'll point out as being run by cheats and cons. You can't accidentally do it. It's like spoon bending. You have to learn how to do the trick. So spoon bending and psychic surgery are the two classics of deception. Blood gushed from the open flesh as the Protestant pastor, dressed in a 3-piece pin-striped suit, mumbled prayers. "You cannot learn faith healing. It is a divine gift," he said later. We do not use knowledge, we use power. The painless, in quotation marks, surgery, Mr. Segundo mopped up the blood with cotton wool and closed the incision. There was no scar to suggest the man had been operated on. Really, what a surprise. Mr. Segundo is one of a number of faith healers and psychic surgeons in the northern Philippine hill resort of Baguio City. Once regarded as quacks and tricksters, they have now earned respect. Who wrote this? Business is booming. Hundreds of foreigners and many Filipinos, some suffering from terminal diseases, flock to Baguio City each week for the healing touch of God's agents. The healers claim they have sent away in good health people who have been declared incurable by doctors. Mr. Segundo, age 43, runs a tiny clinic on the outskirts of Baguio. He said he has been faith healing since he was 12 and admitted many people regarded the practice as fraudulent. It is a gift from God, he said. I say, do not question our method, question the results. There are scores of faith healers in the Philippines, but only 4 or 5 are well known. The most famous is Ramon Yan Labo. Other healers say he treated President Ferdinand Marcos in Baguio last December. Mr. Labo declined to comment on that, but he was picked up by the ruling New Society movement, KBL, to contest the Baguio seat in May's National Assembly elections. He lost. Mr. Labo said he realized he had psychic healing powers when he was 9 years old. His Japanese wife was suffering from a potentially fatal disease when he first met her. He treated her successfully and they decided to get married, he said. In November, Mr. Labo will hold an international convention on faith healing in Baguio and has invited scientists, psychic researchers and doctors to watch and discuss the phenomena. In a message to the planned convention printed on invitation forms to the delegates, President Marcos said there was a need for scientific research into the, quote, many alternative forms of healing found in the Philippines, end quote. Quote, although the Philippine government does not yet officially recognize the paranormal and spiritual methods of healing as a legitimate form of therapy, it is fully aware of the many benefits that have been reported to have resulted from them, end quote. The president said, scientists and researchers have looked into spiritual healing. In 1973, a group of 7 European scientists, engineers and doctors visited the Philippines to observe the healers and later reported that their work did not involve fraud. 1973, a group of 7 European scientists, engineers and doctors. Any magicians amongst them, I wonder? And psychic surgery is like any other conjuring trick. Once you know how it's done, you can see it, you can spot it, you can see what's going on. Have no doubt, psychic surgery is a scam and a fraud. Oh, there we are, just a few more items from New Zealand, the New Zealand Press, covering some interesting topics. And I think we'll be visiting the archives from New Zealand once again, probably in the not-too-distant future. Because when you go there, or any online resource, well, you never know what you might find. Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast, and thank you to those people who support the show with PayPal, Patreon, or donations at skepticzone.tv. Without you, there would be no Skeptic Zone. A big shout out to Tim Mendham, who edited the Skeptic magazine for many years. He's been a little bit under the weather lately. I hope you get better soon, Tim. There's more adventures ahead for us in the skeptical world, I'm sure, including more books of Tim. Coming up on next week's show in the Trove segment, we're going to be visiting orgone energy once again. We spoke about orgone energy, I think it was last week on the Skeptic Zone. This time we're going to be looking through the newspaper items in relation to this mysterious, ridiculous energy. And a bit later on, I think the week after next, we're going to be looking at reflexology in the Trove segment. Now, as I mentioned earlier, at Skeptics in the Pub coming up in December, we're going to be having a live podcast of Why Smart Women in the Skeptic Zone with special guests and all sorts of things. If you want to come along to that, you're welcome to do that. The best thing to do is to sign up at Meetup, and I'll add a link in this week's show notes. But for this week, this is Richard Saunders signing off from Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Please visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for episodes and show notes with links going back to 2008. You can follow the Skeptic Zone on Facebook, X, TikTok and YouTube by clicking the links at our homepage, together with links to support the show financially via Patreon or PayPal. The Skeptic Zone is an independent production. The views and opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of the Skeptic Zone podcast or any other skeptical organisation.